So, what if a nation's entire ruling class was just a body without a head?
It's a pretty wild image, right?
Well, today we're diving into a really provocative diagnosis of global power, and it comes straight from a Russian source. And they use this unforgettable metaphor, the Headless Horseman, to describe their own elite.
Okay, so it all kicks off with this really fundamental question. The whole argument is that, true global power, it's not really about who has the biggest army or the strongest economy. Nope. It's about something way, way deeper.
And here it is, the central idea. Real lasting power, it's ideological. It's the power to create the scenario for the future. Think about it. It's the ability to write the script for tomorrow, to literally define what the future is supposed to look like. And if you're not writing the script, well, you're just an actor in a story that somebody else wrote for you.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll dig into this whole rules of the game idea. Then, we'll meet this Headless Horseman elite. After that, we'll look at what that means for culture, the whole creators versus artisans thing. We'll compare it to another system, and then finally, see what the proposed path forward is.
Okay, first up, the rules of the game. So what does it actually mean to write the story for the future? Well, according to this analysis, it's a huge battle. A battle between two completely different visions for where the entire planet is headed.
So on one hand, you've got this archaic plan, a return to a simpler past, riding donkeys, homespun shirts, a total retreat from modernity. And on the other hand, you've got this ultra-tech plan, the kind of high-tech future, often with a smaller population, that you see in a lot of Hollywood blockbusters. And here's the kicker, according to the speaker. Russia is just stuck. It's caught between these two massive stories, but it doesn't have a compelling one of its own.
And this is where that lack of a unique story really comes into play. It leads us right to the central diagnosis of the whole piece, this incredibly powerful metaphor for the Russian elite, the Headless Horseman.
So picture this, the Headless Horseman. You've got the powerful horse, you've got the menacing sword, all the physical strength and resources you could ever want. That's the body. But the head, the thing that gives it direction, an ideology, a vision for where it's all going, it's just gone. The argument is that this elite has completely given up the job of creating their own ideas.
So you gotta ask, how did they get here? Well, the source traces it all back to the late Soviet era. Back then, you had the priests. These were the ideologues, the party guys setting the direction. But then in the 70s, the warriors, think security services, they took over. And here's the crucial part. The warriors weren't interested in ideology. They just wanted to be free from it, to have power without all that thinking. So instead of growing their own new head, they just decided to bolt on a foreign one, or as it turns out, a few of them.
And this is what that decision led to, a totally fractured elite. Instead of one coherent vision, you end up with different factions, different lobbies, all looking to different places for their ideas. You've got a pro-Washington lobby, a pro-London lobby, a pro-Tel Aviv lobby. The result? You've got this immensely powerful body, the Horseman, being yanked in 3 different directions all at once. It's chaos.
Now, this headless problem, it's not just about politics or geopolitics. The speaker argues it seeps down into the very culture, creating this massive creative crisis, and it basically splits everyone into 2 camps.
Yeah, so here's the divide. On one side, you have the creator. This is someone who makes something new, something unprecedented. On the other side, you have the artisan. Now, the artisan might be incredibly skillful, a master of their craft, but all they do is repeat what's already been done. And the argument here is really stark. A society that's headless, one with no original vision for its future, can only produce artisans. It loses the ability to create. And according to this analysis, the proof is everywhere you look. Think about it. In film, you're not getting new classics. You're getting remakes of beloved Soviet movies. You're not getting new visual art forms. You're just colorizing old black and white films. Even the technology, like still using a pistol designed decades ago, points to this. The culture is just skillfully repeating the past because it can't imagine a new future. Okay, so to make this point even sharper, the speaker then draws this really dramatic contrast between Russia's situation and the path taken by another major power, China. And China is held up as a completely different model and, in their view, a much more successful one.
And when you put them side by side, the comparison is pretty intense. Where Russia basically threw out the old Soviet idea, China adapted it, mixing it with modern tech. While capital was flying out of Russia into offshore accounts, Chinese capital was being plowed back into infrastructure at home. And then there's corruption. In Russia, it's described as pervasive. In China, well, the punishment is a little more definitive.
And to really hammer this point home, the speaker shares this one chilling detail. In China, when an official is executed for corruption, the state supposedly sends a bill to the family for the cost of the bullet. It's about 9 yuan. It's an absolutely brutal symbol, but it shows how serious that system is about not going down the same path they believe the Soviet Union did.
Okay, so after that incredibly bleak diagnosis, you've got a headless elite, a culture of copycats, a struggling economic model. What's the solution? What's the prescription here? How does the Headless Horseman finally get ahead? Well, the proposed path forward is nothing short of a total overhaul. Step 1, and this is the big one, create an original scenario for the future. Finally write your own script. From there, it's a series of radical economic moves. You have to stop the capital flight, bring that money home. You establish state control over the most important industries. And you stop just selling raw resources. You start selling finished products. And the foundation for all of this? You have to cultivate a brand new, truly patriotic elite.
And the entire analysis ends on this really bold, almost prophetic note, that Russia will lead the world and that it's going to happen after a sharp, sudden turn. The implication is that this change won't be slow and steady. It'll be revolutionary. And it leaves you wondering, right? What would a sharp, sudden turn like that actually look like? And more importantly, what would it mean for the rest of the world?